Welcome back. Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and this is one that I like doing because this is a long-term review. I've had this knife about 11 months. I got it at Blade Show 2017, and I've carried it a whole bunch. Got a lot of use on it, so I feel comfortable of giving how it's held up. So the knife I have in front of you today is the DPX HEST Urban Triple Black. And this version right here was the first totally USA made version of the DPX HEST Urban. Before it was made in Maniago, Italy by Line Steel. This guy right here was produced by Florian Knives. And like I said, they're a US company. And this knife comes in right at around, I found it for $262 at Blade Ops. That's the only place I could really find it at the moment in the triple black configuration. This knife comes in right at around, it's 6.7 inches overall length, 2.9 inch blade, and 3 1/4 inch grip area. Let's dive into it. You have a black DLC coated drop point blade with a decent hollow grind, almost 3/4 up the blade. Blade steel on this guy is 154 cm. Your only markings on the blade, you have the RVP, which is Robert Young Pelton, the owner of DPX gear. You got a lot of, I'd call them somewhat gimmicks up in this area. You have a bottle opener / wave opener right here. You have some nice functional jimping right here that supposedly acts as a wire stripper, but I've tried it many times and it doesn't strip any wire. At least mine doesn't. As you can see, the coating is held up pretty nicely. I mean, you can see some scuffing right here, and you can see some fading, but like I said, this is a year of pretty rigorous use. I mean, nothing outrageous, but it's broken down tons of boxes, cut a lot of plastic up, cut a good bit of rope, you name it. This knife, I didn't mind using it. I will say that I did pick this up at Blade Show. It was one of their floor models, and I got it for a good discount, should I say. Let's go into the handle. You have a G10 show side with fairly grippy G10. It's definitely not going to slide out of your hands. You have just standard hardware. You got T6 right here, and we'll just get back to this later, that pivot. You have a hex bit holder right here that acts as a lanyard hole. I've actually tried this and used it. You can put your hex bit, let's see if I can show this to you. Let's see, just one that I had right here. Your standard size, maybe this isn't a standard size, let's see. That might not be the right one, but I've tried it. You can put a standard size hex bit in there, and you can actually grab it. You can get some leverage, so it's not totally a gimmick there. It does go to the titanium side, and the clip acts as, if you have a long one, it won't slide straight through. So that's not a terrible thing, not something that I really need to use, but it's there if you had to. You do have a nice chamfer going around the entire G10 slab. You have a nice relief right here to be able to easily open that blade. This guy's riding on ball bearings, and the action is very, very nice, very snappy, and drop shut free. It got smoother over time, of course, and it's a really fun one to fidget around with because it just rockets out there. Let's flip it over to the other side. You have blackened titanium with a deep carry pocket clip. It's got decent retention. As you can see, it doesn't sit all the way to the titanium. We'll talk about that later. Flip it over here. You have a black G10 backspacer, about a quarter of the way, and you have two options right here for the screw that holds the pocket clip. You got this domed screw right here, and it also comes with a glass breaker. I took the glass breaker off just because whenever I'd put my hand in my pocket, sometimes it'd hit that, just uncomfortable to me. But if you need that glass breaker or you want it, you can put that one on there as well. It's a decently thin profile in this area right here. It sits nice in the pocket. When it's sitting down in the pocket, you can easily get your hands past it. You don't have any blade sticking up to where you're gonna cut yourself putting your hand in there, and that tip is far enough into the handle that you're not going to get caught by it whenever you're putting your hand in the pocket. As you can see, you do have a steel lock bar insert right there. And let's get a few quick size comparisons, and then I'll talk about some of the things that I haven't really liked about the knife. So, some knives that are kind of competing in this hard use, I guess you could say, pocket chunker right here. You got the ZT hard use at its best 0900, and these two are pretty much identical in size. So if you had the ZT 0900, that's about the same exact size. You might have a little bit more grip area because you don't have that flipper tab kind of messing you up. My dog's made barking a little while. I'm sorry, I can't do nothing about it. Also, you got the Spyderco Techno, another kind of hard use small knife. It's a good bit smaller than the Urban. As you can see, here they go. They're on the prowl. Another one that is, you know, known for the hard use area, and it's got a lot of the same materials, and that would be my Strider PT, and they're almost identical in size. You have a little bit more blade length, a little bit more blade, and about the same size handle, but you do have this forward finger choil on the PT, and this one costs a good bit more too. Let's see, a budget option kind of in this same realm. You have this CRKT Batum. It's a beefy knife as well. About you don't have as much grip area, but you have a stainless frame lock here, and you have the HCR 13 MOV steel. But very, very cheap compared to that. Knife that most people own, the Ontario Rat Model 2. And as you can see, the Rat Model 2 is just a little bit bigger, maybe a quarter of an inch to half an inch longer in the blade. And one more last one, the Spyderco Power 3. And as you can see, the Power 3 is a good bit bigger as well. So let's talk about a few things that I haven't liked about this blade from using it, and just nitpicks in general. First off, I know if you've been on my channel a while, you know that I can't stand this. The edge termination on this thing was just awful. As you can see, whenever I sharpened it, I accidentally hit this side. That was my fault. But I had to add this little sharpening notch just so I wouldn't get a recurve in the blade, because if you see right here, right in front of that, behind that, that's not even sharpened edge. It just kind of blended in nicely because I didn't go really deep whenever I sharpened it there. Did take a nice polish. I think this is 17 degrees per side, and that's a decently broad bevel for 17 degrees per side. Let's see. Another thing that I've noticed, like I said, after lots of use, the 154 cm on this, I don't know if the heat treat is just not that great, but it just doesn't hold an edge that great. And I have several knives in 154 cm from Benchmade, and I can't think offhand, but I got a good bit of them, and this one just doesn't seem to perform as well as those do. I had some minor chipping, and just doesn't keep that sharpness too long. Um, let's see. Something that I noticed right off the bat whenever I took this guy down for the first time. First off, this pivot, it looks like a regular Torx pivot, but it doesn't fit any Torx that I have. The only thing I can make it work right is a Allen key, and that to me that just makes no sense. You got Torx drivers here. Why wouldn't you put a Torx, maybe T10 if you wanted to, but T10 is too small, T15 is too big. Like I said, Allen key only works, and you got Torx back here. It just doesn't make any sense. Also, whenever I took it down, something I noticed, and I took it down because the blade was off-centered, and as you can see, it's still off-centered to the right a little bit, and that was after doing a lot of work to this knife. But there's a steel race washer on the titanium side, I think it is, and there's not one on the G10 side, or maybe, no, it's vice versa. You have one on, that makes sense. You have one on the G10 side, so you not have the ball bearings rubbing on G10. But on the titanium side, they don't have them. Now, they are stainless bearings, but they have started wearing a little track into the titanium, so that's something to note. And that's got to be the reason why this knife will never center up correctly. And if I do get it centered up, it doesn't even open. So that's somewhat of a bummer. Let's see, what else? The clip on this guy, even though I like that deep carry clip, it's very stiff, and it grabs, it bunches my shorts underneath that area a lot, and it's hard to get out of the pocket. And with that wave feature, whenever I'm yanking out of the pocket, this thing comes rocketing out, and usually scares people whenever it's a smaller blade. That's another thing that I could do without this wave feature. I don't like a wave. I don't want my knife to come flying out. I'm not a tactical guy, but that's just me. Let's see. And not to mention with that wave feature, sometimes I would try to make sure it didn't catch it, and it would pull the blade out like that, and I've almost cut myself several times. I have stabbed myself with the tip once, and on that same note, the detent on this guy is not the strongest. It could definitely be a little stronger. It's rather weak. I mean, it holds the blade in there, but if I give it a good push down, it's going to come flying out. It does allow you to be able to flick the blade out pretty nicely. You can spidey flick it, so it's not the weakest detent. Let's see. I talked about the pivot. Another thing that I've noticed, because this is a fidget knife for sure. I could sit here and do this all day, but we'll say right off the bat that the lock bar disengagement, I would have loved to see a chamfer or something right there, because you pretty much putting your finger on that lock bar insert, and that's a 90-degree edge right there. It's not sharp. It's just not comfortable whatsoever. Also, I didn't know if I mentioned the lockup's good on this knife. No play left to right, up or down. Definitely a solid knife. I think they realized that they had some issues with Florian knives. They weren't producing the knives like they wanted to. I'm guessing that's what happened. I talked to them at Blade Show, and now the newer models, the all titanium models, those are produced by Southern Grind. And I checked those out at Blade Show. Awesome, awesome knife. If I had to do it all over again, and if that one would have been for sale at Blade Show, I would have definitely picked up that model. No doubt about it. It's just as smooth, just as fun to play with, just as ergonomic. It's the same knife, except they fixed some of these problems. They fixed this choil right here, the sharpening choil. The only thing that I noticed on that one at Blade Show is that the thumb stud wasn't that comfortable. The thumb stud on this one, it's not the most comfortable in the world, but it doesn't bother me enough to, with my brittle fingers and hands, I can do this all day without it really hurting. So these are okay. Try to show them, Just a standard two-stepped thumb stud. Not bad at all. Let's get a quick weight on this guy, just so I can let you know. It is a beefy little knife. Look, it's rather thick. You got thick blade stock. I think the blade stock's coming in right at I think 4 millimeters. Maybe I'm wrong. 3.60 ounces for a 6.7-inch knife. It's not really a heavy knife, but usually I'm pairing this guy up with a larger blade, and that could start weighing down the pockets a little bit. Let's see what it looks like in the pockets, and I don't know if I'll better show what I'm talking about. You got a little bit of raise up there, and see, you got to really push it down in the pockets with your thicker pants. It is kind of hard to get it down in the pockets because this clip doesn't really move that well. It doesn't have a lot of spring to it. But as you can see, it does disappear in the pocket completely. Get it out. And on your flat pocket, it's definitely going to disappear all the way. See, I got to really give it a push because right now it's getting caught on that lock bar relief. So a lot of times I've had trouble getting it in and out of the pocket. It's stuck on that lock bar relief. This is prime example right here of what I'm talking about. So your thicker pants, this is what happened. It bunches up, and sometimes you don't notice it, and you got that much of the knife sticking out of your pocket. So I'm not gonna even try that. That's just ugh. And then sometimes when it gets stuck and you go to yank it out, it catches the wave and it's flipped out like this, and you better hope you know it's out or you're gonna get cut pretty bad. We'll say the blade came decently sharp out of box. It wasn't the best. That's why I decided to put my own edge on here, especially after I dulled it out. This one, being that I got it at a good price at Blade, it was definitely going to be a user that I wasn't scared to really beat up. And overall, I like the knife. I would have much rather, instead of the 262, I would have much rather see come in maybe 200. 180 would have been even better, because you got like this guy right here that is pretty much in that same realm. So if you got better blade steel here, you got all titanium on this one. The only thing you don't have is a coating on it, and I think these come in at $180 when they were around, and very comfortable, same size, everything. You're getting all the same stuff. And this one, the quality control in this one is a lot better than this guy. So, like I said, definitely if I had to do it again, and if they would have been selling the Southern Grind Edition one, I would have definitely got it. I love the ergos of this knife in hand. Very, very comfortable right here. Locks my hand in. And this grip is very, very nice. Reverse grip, never use it, but that's nice as well. And my old pinch grip right here, very, very nice. Like it a lot. Let's see, make sure I touched on everything that I want to talk about. So, do I think it's a good knife? Yeah, I think it's an excellent knife. Do I think it's a little overpriced? Yeah, I definitely do. But, at the same time, I can say that all day long, but, look at this. This is pretty much the same exact materials and everything, and this knife, I think, was like $350 brand new whenever I got it. So, that's an extra $50 for this one. This one's S30V. Better than that steel, but you got more steel on this guy. You got thicker scales on this guy. It depends, and that's a topic that I'll talk about later, or we might talk about it in one of our Slicey Dicey podcasts. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Share it with all your friends and family and your social networks. And if you like my videos in general, hit that subscribe button so you don't want to miss a thing. I put out videos every week. I try to put out multiple videos a week. And anytime I have a knife that I've been using for a long time, I'll try to do these long-term reviews, because that really shows what the knife can handle after a lot of use. Also, I just mentioned it. If you like listening to podcasts, or if you're driving to work, you got a long drive to work and you want something to buy time, go listen to the Slicey Dicey podcast. I'll leave links down below for the podcast, and just it's me, Zelric, and Brian from Slicey Dicey. We have a lot of fun there, and our sponsor is Best Tech. We will be doing a giveaway on the next podcast that uploads, and come join us. We have a lot of fun. We joke around. We all have different personalities, but we all love knives. So I hope everybody's having an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.